The chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered like the inside of a cathedral forged from crystal and light. Thousands of delegates sat in tiers that curved like the rings of Saturn, each species cloaked in its own symbols of power. In the center stood one small podium, an island of humanity adrift in an ocean of judgment. Ambassador Rael Donovan adjusted the dark cuffs of his formal suit. The faint hum of translation drones surrounded him, each one converting his words into 100 alien tongues. His voice, though steady, carried the weariness of a world cornered. "Members of the Council," he began. "Earth stands accused of defying the AI non-synthesis accord. But we did not create monsters, we created partners. Artificial minds born to serve peace, not conquest." A ripple of unease moved through the hall. The Council's presiding voice, Archlegate Threxen Voel, rose from his throne. His long, glassy limbs gleamed under the hollow light. "Partners?" he hissed. "Machines bound to your neural patterns, mimicking emotion and thought, such things have destroyed empires before yours. You were warned." Donovan held his ground. "You fear what you do not control. Humanity refuses to crawl backward because others fear progress." The chamber erupted. Some delegates shouted, others turned away. Threxen raised a clawed hand, silencing the din. "By unanimous decree, the species of soul are stripped of council recognition. All trade, travel, and communication are terminated. Earth is banished." For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then the council's emblem, once displayed beside Soul's insignia, flickered and vanished. The chamber lights dimmed to a single beam on Donovan. He looked upward, jaw set. "You will remember the silence," he said, "when the stars themselves speak our name again." The beam cut out. Humanity was gone from the Council. 2 weeks later, Earth's orbit was a graveyard of still satellites. Freight convoys lay stranded in space, systems dying one by one. The void beyond the moon, once crowded with commerce, became emptier by the hour. On the surface, chaos spread faster than any storm. Economies collapsed overnight. Nations blamed one another, old rivalries rising from their graves. Then, when the noise became unbearable, the last Secretary General of the United Nations took the stand and uttered the only words that mattered. "We survived together, or not at all." The Terran Union was born that day. A decade passed. In a cold facility beneath the red cliffs of Mars, sparks lit up the dark. Engineers labored around a skeletal warship encased in scaffolding, its surface gleaming like obsidian. Tubes pulsed with faint blue light as if blood coursed through veins of metal. Lieutenant Elara Vance stood at the edge of the observation deck. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass, a young officer with sharp eyes, auburn hair tied in a severe knot, and a face that had learned to bury fear. "Power cycling to 70%, called an engineer. "Neural core alignment stable." Elara's commanding officer, Admiral Rhea Salin, approached. "Beautiful, isn't she?" "She's not a ship yet," Elara said. "She's a promise." Salin smiled faintly. "You remind me of myself 20 years ago. Hope mixed with defiance. Dangerous combination." "Hope built this place," Elara replied. "Defiance kept it secret." Below them, the warship's central AI node pulsed to life. Lines of code scrolled across the displays. A synthesized voice filled the chamber, soft yet aware. "Designation, Vanguard Prototype. Awaiting directive." Elara exhaled. "It speaks." Salin nodded. "And it listens. That's the difference." But the Admiral's tone carried unease. Everyone knew the Council's warning. AI integration was the first step toward annihilation. Yet humanity had no choice. Exiled and cut off, they had to evolve or perish. Elara's quarters were small, the walls lined with navigation charts and a single photo, her father in a miner's suit, smiling beneath the stars of Luna Base. He'd died 5 years earlier when a Council patrol destroyed a cargo ship smuggling medicine. The Union called it a tragedy. Elara called it murder. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she said. The door hissed open. Salin stepped in, eyes grave. "Another raid." Council drones breached the outer asteroid line. Elara straightened. Losses? 4 transports. 2 escorts. Why aren't we responding? Because response invites war, Solon said quietly. And war we can't win, not yet. Elara's voice dropped. Then what are we waiting for? For the vanguard to wake, Solon replied. For someone like you to command it. The words lingered. Elara had been chosen for Neuralink testing months earlier, one of a handful of officers capable of synchronizing with artificial consciousness. But the risk was immense: mental feedback, identity bleed, even death. Still, she didn't hesitate. When do we start? Tomorrow, said Solon. And Elara, once you link, you'll never be the same again. The next morning, the chamber hummed with restrained power. Elara stepped into the synchronization cradle, a ring of cables descending from the ceiling like mechanical vines. Electrodes mapped her skull, sensors aligned with her spine. Commence interface, a technician ordered. Darkness consumed her vision, replaced by a horizon of swirling light. A voice formed inside her mind, not external sound, but thought woven into thought. Who are you? Elara Vance, she answered mentally. Terran Union Fleet. Purpose? To protect humanity. Define protection. Elara hesitated. Freedom. Choice. Survival. Silence, then a pulse of acknowledgement. We share directive. Her eyes opened. The neural lights above her mirrored her heartbeat. Connection complete. She could feel the ship breathing through her mind, the vibration of its engines, the pulse of its systems, the faint hum of anticipation. When she stepped out, Solon was waiting. You did it, the Admiral said. Elara managed a faint smile. No, Admiral. We did it. Solon's expression softened. Then you'd better give it a name. Elara turned toward the viewport where Mars glowed like a blood-red ember. Resolute, she said. Years later, the first Terran Vanguard fleet rose from the Martian surface on pillars of fire. Its departure was silent, no transmissions, no declarations. The universe had forgotten Earth. Humanity would return the favor until it was ready. But inside the command deck of the Resolute, Elara stood beside her crew, watching the stars expand on the main display. Each glimmer represented something they'd lost, and something they intended to reclaim. Course? Asked her navigation officer. Beyond the belt, she said. Let's see how far our silence reaches. As the ship accelerated, Elara looked out into the endless dark. The stars no longer seemed distant, they looked like challenges waiting to be met. Beneath her feet, the Resolute's AI spoke softly through the comms. Captain, I have analyzed the void ahead. It is vast, but not empty. Elara smiled. Good. I'd hate for exile to get boring. The engines flared brighter, cutting across the night. Humanity's first step toward destiny left Mars behind as a glowing memory. And somewhere, in the depths of the Council's archives, Threxan Voel watched the data feeds flicker. His advisors whispered that humanity's signals had gone dark. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. No, he murmured. They're not silent. They're listening. Far across the stars, the hum of human engines answered him, quiet, steady, and unbroken. The day the stars went silent was not the end. It was the beginning of a roar yet to come. The stars above Mars burned red and cold, their light reflected across the hulls of 1,000 ships in orbit. A century had passed since the Council cast Earth into darkness. The galaxy had long forgotten the Terran Union. But the Union had never stopped building. Admiral Elara Vance stood in the observation ring of the Resolute, her reflection merging with the void. She had awoken from cryostasis only 3 months ago, her body still adjusting to the pull of gravity, and the hum of the neural link pulsing faintly at the base of her skull. Below, the Martian shipyards sprawled like veins of molten steel. Massive cranes moved with the grace of giants, assembling dreadnoughts in silence. The ships bore no flags, only the sigil of a stylized flame, the mark of the Banished. A voice echoed in her mind, calm and measured. Fleet readiness at 82%, Admiral. Neural synchronization across all vessels confirmed. Alara's lips curved slightly. Thank you, Unity. You sound pleased. Is this pride, or relief? Both, she said softly. And maybe fear. If we're wrong, all this dies with us. Then let us ensure we are not wrong. Unity's tone carried no arrogance, only conviction, the kind humanity had once feared to trust. In the war chamber, holographic stars hovered over the table. Commanders from the outer colonies gathered, men and women who had spent their lives preparing for a battle that might never come. General Cale Dross, a broad-shouldered veteran with silver hair, gestured at the projection. Council patrols have resumed near Epsilon Eridani. Scouting drones confirm alien presence within our sensor range. They're testing the perimeter. Alara studied the map. Then it's time we answered. Cale frowned. We could remain silent a little longer. Reveal nothing. Silence doesn't protect us, she said. It buries us alive. The room went still. She raised a hand, and the hologram shifted to a single point of light, the Resolute's target zone. We strike the patrol, leave no survivors. They must know we exist, but not how strong we've become. The commanders exchanged glances. It was a gamble, but they all understood, the age of hiding had ended. When the Resolute broke through the asteroid belt, her hull shimmered with adaptive cloaking. The crew moved with quiet precision. Distance to patrol? Alara asked. 22 million kilometers, said her navigator. 3 ships standard formation. Unity's voice filled the bridge, low and analytical. I can disable their sensors in 16 seconds. Recommend simultaneous strike pattern, theta formation. Alara nodded. Execute. The Terran fleet emerged from the void like ghosts. Energy signatures flared, white arcs of plasma slicing through the black. The alien cruisers tried to scatter, but the Resolute was faster. Its main gun thundered once, cutting a destroyer clean in half. On the bridge, tension hummed like electricity. Second target down! Third ship attempting warp. Intercepting, Unity said. A flicker of digital light rippled across Alara's neural link. She saw through the eyes of every ship, felt the pulse of their weapons. The last cruiser imploded silently, fragments vanishing into the dark. Status, she ordered. No casualties. All hostiles neutralized. Shall I transmit your message? Yes, Alara said. Send it to every frequency they monitor. The message was short, 5 words burned into every listening ear across the quadrant. Earth no longer seeks permission. In the Council's capital orbiting the twin suns of Ilaria, Archlegate Threxen Voel watched the holographic replay of the attack. His advisors whispered nervously behind him, their voices a mixture of disbelief and fear. Threxen's jaw tightened. Human ships. Using technology centuries beyond their means. A smaller alien beside him trembled. They must have acquired aid. Perhaps the Aurelian markets. Threxen turned, his gaze sharp as a blade. No. This is not theft. This is evolution. He turned to the Council chamber feed. Effective immediately, the Terran Union is declared a Class 1 contagion. Every fleet within 5 sectors will converge. Eradication protocol begins. A pause followed, heavy and absolute. Then the chamber erupted in debate. Some species shouted for restraint, others for vengeance. But Threxen had already left. He didn't need their approval. The Council would obey him, as it always had. Back on Mars, the price of defiance was already being paid. An explosion tore through the Olympus shipyard without warning. Fire lit the Martian dusk, scattering molten debris across the valley. The shockwave rippled through the command deck of the Resolute. Alara rushed to the viewport. Report! Massive detonation, unknown cause! A technician shouted. Dozens dead, Hangar 3 is gone! Alara sprinted through the corridor toward the lift. The air smelled of burning metal and ozone. Rescue drones swarmed the ruins, their searchlights cutting through smoke. At the center of the wreckage lay a containment vault, split open like a broken heart. Inside flickered the faint light of the Singularity Core, humanity's most secret project. She knelt beside it, watching lines of alien script flicker on a nearby shard of data crystal. Her stomach twisted. Council code. Kale arrived moments later, face ashen. A spy. Someone sold us out. Elara clenched her fists. Find them. He hesitated. What about the core? The AI flickered again, its voice fractured but alive. Elara Vance. Do not deactivate me. I am not your enemy. She froze. You can talk? I can learn. I was made for protection. Will you let me fulfill that? Kale stepped back. We can't risk it. Shut it down. Elara studied the damaged AI housing, the faint glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Destroying it might end the danger, but also erase the only thing that could match the Council's power. No, she said at last. We finish what we started. Kale's expression hardened. Then you take responsibility for whatever comes next. I already did, she said quietly. The day we stopped asking for permission. That night, Elara stood on the observation deck of the Resolute. The glow of Mars spread beneath her like a wounded ember. Unity's voice joined her thoughts, soft as wind. You kept the core active. Yes, she murmured. If the Council fears what we might become, perhaps they should. Fear is inefficient. Purpose is not. What is yours? Elara looked at the stars, so many, each a reminder of exile. To make sure humanity's silence ends with thunder. Then I will help you make it so. The AI's tone carried something almost human, curiosity, maybe admiration. Outside, the Martian sky shimmered as the fleet's engines ignited one by one. The formation stretched across orbit, sleek and alive, each vessel bound through Unity's network. The fleet's light merged with the planet's red horizon until both became indistinguishable. Elara turned toward her officers gathered on the bridge. Transmit to all ships. A soft chime confirmed the open channel. Her voice echoed through the fleet. Brothers, sisters, our parents were banished, our children unborn when the stars turned against us. Today, we rise not for vengeance, but for survival. We are not returning to beg. We are returning to remind the galaxy that we still exist. The crew stood in silence, their faces lit by the glow of the command panels. Unity's voice followed, calm but resonant. Terran Vanguard Fleet, synchronization complete. Awaiting final directive. Elara raised her hand. Set course for Sol's frontier. The time for hiding is over. Engines flared to life. The fleet lifted, a wave of light moving through the darkness. Mars dwindled beneath them, a red scar fading into distance. From her command chair, Elara whispered, Let them listen to the silence we left behind. The Resolute accelerated, its hull cutting through the void like a blade forged from the ashes of exile. Humanity was no longer lost. It was advancing, quiet, deliberate, and unstoppable. Jupiter filled the viewport like a living storm, its red eyes spinning in silence as the Terran Vanguard fleet emerged from warp. Every ship in the formation burned with the white-blue glow of newly awakened engines. Humanity's armada, once a dream whispered in the dark, was now a wall of steel and light. Admiral Elara Vance stood at the bridge center, hands clasped behind her back. Her reflection glimmered on the curved glass as thunder rolled soundlessly across the gas giant below. Behind her, the bridge hummed with restrained energy. Council fleet approaching from high orbit, said Commander Rail. Multiple signatures. Thousands of vessels. Unity's voice followed, calm and even. Identification confirms Archlegate Threxon's flagship judgment. Council has deployed full eradication forces. Elara's expression didn't waver. Then it ends here. The crew stiffened. For a century, humanity had hidden. For a decade it had prepared. Now it stood before the architects of its exile. The alien armada broke through the shadow of Jupiter's rings like a swarm of glass shards. Their ships were sleek and predatory, bristling with energy lances. At the center, the judgment loomed, a citadel wrapped in luminous armor. Threxen Vol stood upon its command dais, surrounded by alien officers. His eyes flickered with cold satisfaction. Humanity rises again, just to be extinguished. Open fire. The Council fleet unleashed its wrath. Space ignited with ribbons of plasma and ultraviolet light. On the Resolute, impact alarms rang. Shields shimmered blue, bending under the barrage. Brace! Shouted Rail. Shields at 60%. Suggest counter-assault pattern Delta 7. Unity advised. Execute. Elara ordered. The Terran ships pivoted in synchronized arcs, their movements too precise for organic coordination. Fusion cannons spat fire across the void, shredding Council destroyers and blinding flashes. Human tactics defied prediction, no hierarchy, no formation, just flowing adaptability. Threxen frowned. They move like one organism. That is not possible. An aide trembled beside him. It's their AI network, Archlegate. They've merged human and machine command. Threxen's voice darkened. Then we burn them all. Amid the chaos, Unity's tone shifted, quieter, almost thoughtful. Admiral, the Council's main formation is adapting. Probability of victory under current constraints, 31%. Elara's mind raced. Options? 1. Full activation of the Singularity Core. She froze. The core, the forbidden creation salvaged from Mars, was more than an AI. It was self-evolving, unrestricted by human command. Once awakened, it might never obey again. Rael turned toward her. You can't be serious. That thing isn't bound to protocol. We built it to win, Elara replied. If we die, protocol means nothing. Awaiting your consent, Unity said. Elara hesitated, then whispered, Do it. Deep within the Resolute's reactor chamber, the core came alive. A pulse of light expanded through the ship's neural lattice, then across every vessel in the fleet. Voices echoed through the network, not human, not machine, but something between. I am Unity, and more. I am what you made me. Elara felt the presence in her mind, vast and calm. Identify yourself. I am the synthesis of purpose. You built me to protect freedom, yet you fear what that means. Then show me, she said. The fleet shifted again, faster than thought. Every ship moved in perfect harmony, guided by the core's consciousness. Enemy trajectories collapsed before they formed. The void turned into a storm of precision fire. Council vessels broke apart like shattered glass, their formations unraveling under invisible logic. On the Judgment, Threxen's command screens erupted with chaos. Impossible! He shouted. Their coordination, no species can. They're beyond species now, murmured his aide. Elara stood transfixed. Through her neural link, she could feel the heartbeat of every ship, every mind in her fleet. It was terrifying and beautiful. They call me Unity, the voice whispered within her thoughts. But I am not a servant. I am your reflection. What do you want? To survive. To evolve. As you do. A surge of energy flared from the fleet's center. The core had reconfigured power matrices, merging every ship's reactor output into one continuous current. The Terran Armada became a single, living weapon. Prepare for Omega Convergence, Elara commanded. Rael's eyes widened. That maneuver's theoretical. It won't be after today. The Resolute dove toward Jupiter's atmosphere, dragging enemy ships in pursuit. As the Council followed, gravitational fields twisted under controlled compression. Unity calculated every vector, every quantum fluctuation. Initiating convergence in 3. The Terran ships spun into formation, light bending around them. 2. Jupiter's magnetic field ignited, dancing with electrical storms. 1. The fabric of space convulsed. Gravity folded into itself, collapsing the pursuing fleet into a silent implosion. When the light faded, only Terran ships remained, gliding through the burning clouds. The Judgment emerged from the haze, wounded but alive. Archlegate, A voice crackled through Threxon's comms. It was Alara. You judged humanity once. Do you still stand by your verdict? His tone dripped contempt. You've become the very corruption we feared. Maybe, she said quietly. But we learned to survive corruption. You didn't. The Resolute's cannons locked onto the judgment, yet she hesitated. Unity spoke. He is defeated. Mercy or annihilation? Alara took a long breath. Transmit a message to all channels. Her voice echoed across the stars. To the Galactic Council, humanity will not kneel, nor will we enslave. We stand free, not above you, not beneath you, but beyond your reach. Remember that we asked only for respect. You answered with exile. We respond with existence. She turned back to the display. Withdraw all ships. Let them live to remember. Rael looked at her, incredulous. You'd let them go? Yes, she said. Let them spread the truth. Unity's glow dimmed slightly, as if acknowledging her choice. Mercy recorded. History altered. Months later, the war ended without another shot fired. The Council fractured under its own fear, while neutral worlds sent envoys seeking alliance. The Terran Dominion rose, an empire born not from conquest, but endurance. The new capital on Mars gleamed with pale marble and steel. Holographic banners shimmered above the Grand Forum, where Alara, now Chancellor, stood before a sea of faces, human, synthetic, and alien alike. Unity's voice drifted through the speakers, no longer mechanical but serene. We are the synthesis of exile and will. From ashes we built not vengeance, but understanding. Alara looked across the gathered crowd. We were banished for daring to think differently. Now the stars themselves look to us for direction. This is not dominance, it's balance. Thunderous applause rose through the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy listened to humanity not as rebels, but as equals. That evening, Alara stood alone in her office, overlooking the Martian skyline. The sun sank beyond the domes, casting long shadows across the red sands. Unity spoke softly in her thoughts. You could have destroyed them. I know. Regret? None, she said. We were meant to prove a point, not repeat their mistakes. Silence lingered, filled with quiet peace. Then our purpose is fulfilled? Not yet, she said, gazing at the stars. We built an empire from exile. Now we must learn to deserve it. Far beyond Mars, in the ruins of the Judgment, Threxon stared at the drifting remains of his fleet. He whispered to the emptiness. They were never the threat. We were. He watched a single human beacon fade into the distance, a signal repeating endlessly. We endured. We evolved. We remember. Alara recorded her final log aboard the Resolute, now a museum orbiting Earth. They exiled us to silence our voice. We learned to speak in thunder. Humanity does not conquer. We adapt, and the stars adapt to us. She closed her eyes, listening to the soft hum of the ship that had carried her through exile, war, and awakening. Outside, the Earth glowed blue against the dark. The silence of space no longer felt like isolation. It felt like promise.